Many Christians thought Joyce Meyer would speak out when the Daystar story about Jonathan Lamb's daughter and sexual abuse claims broke. Why? Joyce Meyer has spoken out against sexual abuse for a long time, especially in families. Joyce has been open about her own painful experiences with sexual abuse. She has used her fame to bring attention to the problem and push for responsibility and healing in the Christian community. She has said many times over the years how important it is to be open and take responsibility, especially when it comes to protecting the weak. I was really, really young when he first touched me and did strange things to me. But when I was a young teen, it was more than just touching me. He made me work for him. When I was a teen, my mom caught him. She caught him when she came home out of the blue. Also, I'll never understand what it's like to have a great dad. I'll never know what it's like to sit on my dad's lap, hug him, and not worry that it will turn into something else. I can never be in pain and ask my dad to get coffee with me so I can sit down and tell him what I'm going through. He will always care. That will never be mine. He did what he did to me at least once a week until I was 18. When a scandal hit a well-known Christian family like the Lambs, who started a ministry that millions of people looked to for spiritual advice, it wasn't a surprise that many people turned to Joyce Meyer. She was asked to weigh in, say something, and follow the same rules she has been preaching for years. Not only is she a teacher, but she has also been sexually abused and used her story to push for real change. This gives her voice weight in these kinds of issues. Joyce Meyer, on the other hand, has been quiet, and things have continued as usual in the church world. At the same time, people are tagging her over and over on social media to encourage her to speak out. It's strange how quiet it is, but it might not be hard to figure out why. One of the new radio recordings by Julie Roy gives us more information about this. Joni Lamb is honest about the names of the people who are in her camp and who back her choices in the video. As you may remember, Joni Lamb's marriage to Doug Weiss caused a lot of shock in the Christian community and split people's views down the middle. Some people stood by her and supported her choice to go ahead with it, while others spoke out against it, saying they were worried about the union's circumstances. In the recording, Joni names with confidence the people who helped her and pushed her to go ahead with the marriage. It's a sign of support, but it also makes me think about why people like Joyce Meyer might be afraid to speak out. A lot of other people in here are part of it too. I'm going to read their names, all right? During the 7th and 8th month, I told the Lord, "Lord, I can't." And he replied, "I'm putting it back together." There were words from Hub Sin that were like prophets. "Don't listen to your children," Hub Sin told me. "Right now, those people are the worst people you could talk to. You have to follow the Lord," etc., she told him. There are people like Drenda Cassie who told me that the Lord is going to bring someone into your life. I wrote down all of their names. It was July, 3 days ago. He woke me up and told me that the Lord told him, "Don't close your heart and don't be afraid." There are people like Q Sin and my former helper Sam McNeil, who later, after she had kind of walked with me through this process, showed me an email she had written in August, in which the Lord had shown her that he would be the one. She didn't show it to me until many months later. She showed me the day and time. People like Cheryl Salem, who was Miss America, and told me, "I was praying, and there's not anyone I could have thought of who would be a better fit for you and your world than Doug." Cindy Murdoch is liked by many. "Oh, well, she's my friend and she's on the table," they'll say. However, she is a friend who would tell me the truth, just like I have done with her over the years, even if it made her feel bad. People like S. Johnson and Darius Johnson, who we've gone on 2-week trips with. Darius spent hours and hours talking to and asking questions of S. Johnson. He is a wise pastor who was one of Marcus's best friends and would look out for me more than anyone else. Like Jimmy Evans, who I talked to twice in July. The first time was in July and the second time was too late in July. Like Karen Evans, who I talked to during this process. Everyone said the same thing. Wait, the kids aren't ready yet. That's why we haven't gotten married yet. If we didn't have kids, we would have. It doesn't matter how soon you think you'd have gotten married if we didn't have kids. I'm just interested. That's why I have friends like Rhonda Davis, who has a show on Daystar, has been my preacher for over 30 years, and is one of the most spiritual people I know. She has prayed for me and been there for me the whole time. I told her everything that they don't know, that the kids don't know. In other words, she felt everything, good and bad. Robert Debbie told me that Doug is known for being honest in Colorado Springs. We met with Joyce Meyer, who has called me more than once. You talked about it, John Havey, who went through a similar thing and left his wife. He didn't cheat on her, but he was in some of the same situations Doug was. There is a deep link between Jonathan Lamb's ongoing problems with his mother, Joni Lamb. At one point, Jonathan decided to put aside the sexual abuse case involving his daughter so that the family business could stay together. Things changed when Joni married Doug Weiss. Jonathan was asked to read a card on TV to show support for their union, but he refused. He was fired soon after. A lot of problems that had been buried came to the surface because of Joni and Doug's marriage. Now, it's clear that anyone who backed their union is having a hard time holding Jonathan's daughter's sexual abuse case accountable in public. That's probably where Joyce Meyer is now. People who want her to say something about this situation may have to wait a long time because she's not going to. He sexually abused me and my mom knew it but didn't do anything about it because she was afraid. He did some terrible things to me that I have had to deal with my whole life. After they got older, though, God told me in a prayer one morning, move your parents closer to where you live, buy them a small house, and take care of them until they die. Okay, Satan, I tell you to stop. I didn't think God would ask me to do that. But you know what? If it's from God, it will come back again and again. That's one way to know when God is speaking to you. Things stay where they are if they just stay. You think about it, and then you think about it again the next day. It doesn't matter how small it is. Just call someone. I guess that's the end of the long story. We did follow God, and I believe it was one of the most powerful things I've ever done against the kingdom of darkness. If someone has been bad to you, being nice to them will beat the devil more than anything else. It is impossible to deny how sad and moving Joyce Meyer's story of surviving sexual abuse is. Her honesty has helped many people feel better and heal. There is, however, a part of her message that makes me very worried. Unpredictability. There's nothing that beats the devil more than being nice to someone who hasn't been nice to you. This may be true in some cases, but it has no place when someone is being sexually abused. God never meant for anyone, especially children, to be hurt, let alone feel like they had to be nice to people who hurt them. Hearing this kind of thing about sexual abuse can be very hurtful, especially for kids who may already be dealing with guilt or blame for other people's sins that they don't really have. What about the kids in the crowd who are going through this nightmare right now? Hearing this kind of message could make them think even more dangerously that it's their job to rise above by caring for those who hurt them, instead of looking for safety, justice, and healing. This is not the load God puts on people. The abusers need to own up to their mistakes and take responsibility for their actions. Doing good things for the person who stole your youth makes you feel better about yourself. That's called codependency. Even though it sounds like faith and morality, this kind of rhetoric is harmful and puts people in danger. It's not in the Bible, and it's not good either. Instead, it keeps victims feeling like they are to blame for their abuser's actions and forces them to keep quiet under the guise of being kind or gracious. The most caring and fair thing you can do for the victim and for society as a whole is to report the abuser and make sure they are held responsible. This isn't about getting back at someone, it's about keeping other people from getting hurt the same way. People who know about crimes have a legal duty to let the police and officials handle them. It is also the right thing to do. If you don't do anything, attackers can keep being predatory without being stopped. God never asked abuse victims, especially kids, to forgive or protect the people who hurt them. It's very personal to forgive someone, and it's never meant to protect predators or make their acts okay. So many people are leaving the church because it shields or protects abusers under the guise of healing. If you do this, it tells the attacker that you forgive them, even though they haven't done anything wrong. People shouldn't have to forget abusers who hurt them so badly and change their lives without holding them responsible. When you forgive someone, you let go of your anger. It doesn't mean you agree with their bad behavior or keep them from being hurt even more. That's not what God meant for the church to do when they say forgiveness and mean a pass for abusers.